Welcome, everyone. Today, we're talking about the mindset and mechanics to succeed in network marketing. And I have a very special guest here today, Donna Weiser, who is a top earner in her company for over 32 years. And she loves empowering people, working with people, and helping them succeed. She's also passionate about her family, her daughters, and her grandchildren. So, Donna, welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Gloria. I'm so excited. I'm just thrilled to be part of this space with you because this is such a powerful topic and I love your podcast. I've been listening to them and I just think you're amazing.
Well, thank you so much. And Donna, you can see I've read your book. I've got, highlights and tabs and everything in here. So Donna is the author of the book. So you said, yes, the wiser way to network marketing. So Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you've been with one company and that's the only network marketing company you've ever been with. Is that correct? Do I understand that
That's
correctly?
that's correct. That's correct. As a matter of fact, when I was first introduced, my first reaction when somebody handed me the business option or business model, I said, no, 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 thank you. I'm not doing one of those things.
Yeah. But it's pretty darn rare to find somebody who's been with just one company and for 32 years. So kudos to
Yeah.
you. So Donna, for our listeners and our viewers, what do you think? So many people, you and I've been in the industry for over 45 years. I've worked with thousands and thousands of people, and there's so many people that I believe have all the best intentions in the world, and they really want to succeed and they try and they work hard, but they don't. So, what do you think the key is to succeeding in network marketing?
Well, you have to have the right mindset.
Okay,
It's so important. If you don't have the right mindset, you might as well just don't even start, right? I mean, you have to, and we all know that personal development is a huge part of success in this business, and most people don't come in with that great mindset. So when you're coachable and you listen to the people who brought you in and you learn to have that positive mindset, you learn to do the personal development work, to do the affirmations, to get yourself in that right mindset, there's a better chance of having success. But along with that, and that's why I like to call it mechanics and mindset, I think the reason that people don't succeed in our business is they're not consistent. They're not
hmm
consistent. They start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. Who's the guy? He did a great video with the popcorn. Um, I'm blanking on his name. Brian. I'm blanking on his name, but there's a great video where you see him putting a bag of popcorn in the microwave,
uh-huh.
and then he shuts it off every after a couple of seconds, and then opens up the microwave and said, "What's why isn't this popping?" And then he closes the microwave, puts it, opens it again a few seconds later. Why isn't it popping? Because you're not consistent. And I think that's the reason that I've been coaching many people as you have over the years. And the reason I believe they're not succeeding is they don't believe in themselves and they're not consistent with the work that they need to do. They need to learn to stay out of the results because the results don't happen overnight.
Right. Yes. And that's challenging because people join, they're excited, right? Whether it's network marketing, affiliate marketing, any kind of business, you get going in any kind of business and you're excited. And, as human beings, we want instant gratification, right? Unfortunately, we've been even more and more and more wired for instant gratification. And then what? I have to wait. I have to wait for results,
Yes, it's so true. And it's interesting because we always say that when you're out there prospecting and looking for people to talk to, it's not always who you know, it's who they know.
Right.
I'm my mentor, the woman who's my upline, and I'm direct to her today. When I first joined my company, I was 5 generations down from her. The people
Wow.
between us walked away. I'm still
Yeah.
here. I brought millions of dollars into her pocket because I stayed, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, Donna, in your book, you talk a lot about your journey to success. How long was it after you started before you really started getting traction and seeing success? Do you remember?
So yeah, I do remember exactly. I do remember because it took me. So let me just step back for a moment. So my why when I first came in, and of course having a why is so important. My why when I came in was to put my children in private school,
Okay.
and at that time I had a couple of years before I had to find a way to do that. So within 18 months, I got to the second highest rank in our company in 18 months. Then it took me another 6 years to get to the highest level, the highest rank. Why 6 years? Because I wasn't working in my personal development. So I know for me, having that why was really powerful, and I worked really hard. But I worked with Sonia Stringer, who was a wonderful coach for me. And she was the one that taught me, Donna, it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being. And when I learned
Mm-hmm.
about that important concept, because if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, crazy, 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 who's going to want to join you, right? And that's what I was
Right.
doing for those first 18 months. I was working so hard. And it's not about working hard. Of course, again, the consistency is important. But I really believe that for someone to be successful, and the reason for me, the reason I was successful, it took me 18 months, is I put my blinders on. I was very coachable, and I listened to what people did before me. I wasn't going to try to reinvent the wheel because I had no experience in this industry.
Right. Okay. So how do you deal? I mean, we know so much of it is mindset, but there are so many no's involved in what I call, quote unquote, the old school belly to belly, which is the way, I mean, 23, 32 years ago, that's the only way you could build, right? So you were out there talking to people, maybe, phoning people, but we didn't have cell phones 32 years ago, right? We certainly didn't have the internet. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have anything online. So you built old school belly to belly, like I did when I first
100%.
got started. Um, how do you deal with all the rejection and the no's?
Yeah, that's a great one. And there's a great book on I say I'm blanking all the things, all my little tools and tricks. Uh what was the book about? There's a book about no's, getting no's.
Go for the no,
Go
go for
go
the
for the
no.
no, go for the no. Yeah, thank you. So it's funny because I would teach my team, and I did this for a while myself, is I took a jar, and on the jar I wrote no's to, N-O apostrophe S, no's to the rank advance that I was looking to achieve. And every time I got a no, I put a penny in the jar. And it was really fun because I told all the people that I coached, by the time that jar, it's like a little, like a jam jar, right? By the
Right.
time that jar, only about this size, by the time that jar was filled up with pennies, you'll definitely be the next level, because we have to embrace the no's and know that no doesn't always mean no, correct? No sometimes means not now. I don't have enough information. I don't know enough, because I was a no. I said no at first when I was first handed this business option. I said, no, thank you. I'm not doing this. So if people take those no's personally, they're in trouble, right?
Yeah. And how do you not take it personally?
You have to
It's
just,
easy for you to say, right? I mean,
right.
I've said it too, but if you're mentoring someone, if you're training somebody, somebody's just started in the business and they get a bunch of no's, how do you tell them? I mean, it's easy to say don't take it personally, but how do you really not take it personally?
Well, you have to teach them to have expectations, right? And the expectation is you're going to get no's. So if you if you act like this is an easy business, it's not easy. We know that it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's a simple business, but it's not easy. So if you go in there with an expectation that everyone's going to say yes to you, then you're in trouble. So
That's true.
I coach my team all the time. I let them know that it's very important you understand that you're going to get no's, and that no doesn't always mean no. So please, that's why I like to make it fun with a little jar of pennies. Every time you get a no, put a penny in the jar, because guess what? There's a yes behind every no. And the fun thing is to keep going back. Keep going back to those people. If you've gotten permission to go back to the people who said no, because what I would teach people to do is say this: "Oh, I understand it's not a great time for you right now, Glory, but I have a favor to ask. May I check back with you in 3 months and see if your circumstances have changed, or if you've run out of that product, or if you might need that service?" So I like to keep. It's really important to track who you're talking to. So if you can reach back to someone a few months later, and now that we have AI, which I use ChatGPT all the time, I have fun ways. I'll write in my little chat message, "This is someone I reached out to 3 months ago. This is why they weren't interested 3 months ago. Any recommendations how should get back to them now?" And I get I get a great response, and I send a message off, and then I stay out of the results. So I teach my team, people I coach, stay out of the results. This is why tracking is so important. I've learned that from Richard Brook, one of my wonderful mentors. You have to track, because if you're not tracking, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and if you're not tracking, you're focused on all the no's. Personally,
Yes.
I hate the book Go for the No. I hate it. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that because I don't think focusing on the no's is a positive thing. Uh, uh, and I totally agree you wanna track things because you wanna see all the success you are having. Um, and it's difficult to get people to focus on the positive things, all the things
True.
that they are doing and all the things that they are succeeding at. It's so much easier to focus on all the stuff that's not working the way they thought it was going to,
That's
right?
true, but you can make it a game. That's why I like the pennies. So make it a game. Get a
Yeah.
note, put a penny in the jar, and who's next? Let's go. Some will, some won't. So what? Some wait. Who's next?
And I mean, personally, I've said no lots of times. I'm in an opportunity right now that I said no to a year ago. And interestingly, the person who told me about it a year ago didn't explain it to me well enough. They didn't have all the information. They couldn't answer my questions. And so I said no. And then a different person came back around, had more information, got me connected to the right people that I could talk to. And then it
Yes.
was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing opportunity. I
You
wish
know,
I hadn't said no a year ago.
that's a great point. And what I will share with people often is that when you reach out to someone and then you don't reach out again, then you're priming the pump for someone else. Which
Yeah,
is what happened with you. Someone didn't get the right
exactly.
information, they primed the pump, somebody else came in. And so it's really important. That's why tracking is important and keeping track of who you're talking to is important because if you're out there getting leads, and when I first started my business, my goal was to come home with 10 names every single day. Cold market. I built my business 100% with a cold market. So I would not come home unless I had 10 names. And I usually got them at the mall. I'd go to the mall, drop my kids off at school, go to the mall. But the reality is, if you're getting that many leads and you're talking to that many prospects, you have to find some way to keep track of that, right?
Absolutely. But Donna, now if you were starting all over again today, let's
Hmm.
say you were the age you were, 32 years ago, you're that age today, what would you do differently?
I would embrace personal development sooner.
Okay.
I
And
read, yeah,
would
I'm
you
so
still
sorry.
go to the mall and talk to people? Because I don't do that at all.
Oh, I still do that. I get cold leads
Oh,
all the time.
so
I
what do you do with your team members who don't want to do the old school belly to belly?
Well, I mean, listen, today we have social media, but the thing is that even with social media or whatever, I don't even do TikTok, but I do Instagram, I do Facebook. But even with that, once somebody meets someone in that setting, that's definitely not my strength, the social media building business. It's not my strength. I send my people to other, trainings for that. But even with social media, when you meet someone on social media, you still have to take it off of the instant messages and get on the phone and call them. And people don't want to pick up the phone and call anymore. They just want to
No, I don't want to pick
text.
up the phone. I refuse to pick up the phone. Absolutely,
I
positively refuse to pick up the phone. All
I
my
still
team members
do.
know that. I don't do that.
I still do, and I still pick up the phone and I still talk to people and I still get leads wherever I go. I love the cold market. I have lots of success with, I still to this day have good success with the cold market. Recently, my car was in the shop for a long time. And when we were going to pick it up after some challenges we had, my husband was bringing the guy a bottle of scotch. I go, great, you bring a bottle of scotch and I'm going to bring my product for my company. And I brought a product to my company. And it turns out this guy, maybe 10 years ago was it happened to be in a network marketing company, and we started chatting, and he and I just had coffee last Saturday. I mean, I'm meeting people wherever I go because I truly believe even with social media, this is still belly to belly. um, I know we can
Oh,
text all the time, but the reality is you have to have a conversation with someone at
no,
some
you
point.
don't. You don't. You absolutely do not. You don't. I built a team of over 162,000 people in 7 months without speaking to a soul.
Oh, well, see, I love talking to people, and I love the relationships that I build with people. So, I mean, maybe I'm still kind of still at old school, but I love the belly to belly connection with people. Even when I meet them on social media, I like let's get on the Zoom, let's talk, let's chat. I'd love to meet you. Now, you can't get 162 leads, or 162,000 leads that quickly, of course. I know there are systems for that, of course. But the way I continue to build my business, and again, I'm very blessed to have the business that I have today.
Right.
And especially considering that there's many companies that are going the affiliate route. Our company, the owners of our company have committed to us that we're not going to fold or we're not going to go affiliate. But I love I love the people part of this business. So that's for me. What would I do differently today? I think I would just focus more on personal development because if my head was in a better place, it might not have taken me 6 months. I'm sorry, 6 years to get to the top rank.
Okay. Um, so what do you do? You have to have team members that don't like doing the cold market.
Yes.
So how do you help them?
Well, actually, the truth is that I didn't talk to the warm market when I first started because my family and friends thought I was out of my freaking mind because I dropped out of graduate school to build this business. I was in graduate school halfway through a master's in business when I was introduced to my company's product, and then I tried the product. It helped the challenge that I had, and then when I went back to think about that business that they offered me, I said, maybe there is something to this. And I called the gal. We got together and chatted. So I didn't talk to family and friends because they thought I was crazy. And I didn't have the same belief in this industry. I had a really bad experience with someone who tried to get me to a network marketing company and not in a very authentic way. They weren't honest. I'm always honest. The first thing I say to someone
Yeah.
is, this is my company. It's network marketing. I'm proud of it. I'm a network marketing professional. But back in those days, because I did not talk to the warm market, I had no choice but to jump into the cold market. And I kind of became the cold market queen, if you will, in my company. But
Mhm.
today, I actually teach my leaders to talk to their family and friends first, to pick up the phone and say, I'm really excited. I found a product that has changed my life or that I love, the service that has helped me, whatever your company is. And then from that point, um, then from that point, if they can work with their warm market and get their warm market to give them referrals, that's one start. Going on social media, we definitely have people do a post. Hey, I'm excited about what I just started. Love to tell you more about it. But that's again, there's tools to that. There's a great book called, I think, Don't Make It Weird. I have that book on my shelf, about how to get into the social marketing aspect of it. So if someone doesn't want to do cold market, that's their choice. I can teach them though how to literally. I can teach them how to be anywhere. A store, a restaurant, anywhere, and how to start a conversation. I actually talk about it in my book. How to start a conversation so the person you're talking to actually says to you, "So what do you do?" Because when you have a conversation with other people and you listen twice as much as you talk, there's a good chance the conversation will come around to what you do.
So let's take that example of the person who was working on your car. How did
Okay.
you start that conversation with him? So he said, "What do you do?"
Oh, well, because I gave him I gave him a sample of my product. I said, my husband gave you a bottle of scotch. I'm gonna give something that's better for your health because I'm with the
Okay.
health and wellness company.
So let's say you're in a different situation. You're out and
Okay.
about, and you're at the mall,
Okay.
you're at the bank,
I'm in the mall.
whatever.
Okay. Great. Great. Oh yeah. So if I'm at the mall or I'm at the bank, um, I would say to someone who's helping me, I'd say, so, Gloria, thank you so much. You've been so helpful. By the way, how long have you worked here? So I start a conversation and you tell me how long you've worked here. So have you always worked here at Nordstrom? No, I used to be a banker or whatever. Oh, really? What made you change? What made you come to Nordstrom? And I keep talking, ask lots of questions. I ask lots of questions. And then at some point I will say, hey, have you ever heard of my company? I'll just come right
Mhm.
in and say, have you ever heard of my company? I've heard other people say things like, um, do you keep your options open for other opportunities? That's not
Right.
me. I don't say that. It's not authentic for me. I've heard other people say it. I rather just come out and say, have you ever heard of, XYZ company? And they'll
Mhm.
say yes or no, right? And then I can say,
Right.
well, I'd love to tell you more about what I do because it might be something that would be interesting and of interest to you. Because what I can help you if you're interested in, having a side gig or a side hustle or making some extra money. Maybe we can meet for coffee. I can come back to the mall on your next break and we can grab coffee. And
Okay.
that's how I warmed up the cold market.
So you're really building the relationship with them just by asking them questions about them, right?
Yes, yes, 100%. And sometimes the fit, and listen, if the person who's waiting on me, whether it be a restaurant or a store or whatever, if they don't have a great personality or I don't get a good vibe, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm looking for people
Right.
who I could have a great relationship with. If I'm at the vet because my company is vegan and we're cruelty free, then I'll bring up, hey, what do you use for, your skincare products? What do you use for your health and wellness products? Because I work with a company that's vegan and you might be interested.
Right. So 32 years ago, you set this goal for yourself to send your kids to private school. You accomplished that, correct?
Yes, check.
And um, and you were out there working really hard. And you talked about the fact that you would come home every day with 10 names. So fast forward 32 years, you're at the top of your company. You shared with us that you just turned 70 years old. How many people are you connecting with a day? I mean, have you dialed way back and you're not actually out there as much,
Oh
or are
yeah,
you
I'm
still
definitely not.
doing?
I'm not out there as much at all because I'm busy doing other things with my grandkids. I play mahjong, I'm golfing, I'm doing lots of fun things. But
Okay.
wherever I am, my antenna is always up. I'm always listening and looking. Who can I help? Who can I serve and help? Because the world is filled with people, especially today, what's going on with the economy. People need
Yeah.
more money. There's more month at the end of the money for most people. So if I have
Yes.
something that can help them, either our product or our business, I'm definitely going to say something. And I still get tons of no's. I still get no's. I remember I just got a message yesterday from a gal who said, "Nah, I don't think it's for me. I'm not a good salesperson." Well, I've got a good overcoming objection for the salesperson, but I get no's all the time, and then I just say what I said to you earlier. Well, I understand that, but perhaps if they're not interested in the business, then I go to the product. So I
Hmm.
always try, I always have something I can fall back on. Lead with the business, fall back on the product, or lead with the product. It's harder to lead with the product and fall back on the business.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yes, absolutely. So Donna, anything that you want to leave our listeners with? Obviously, I want to recommend to everybody that they go out and get a copy of your book. So you said yes. And Donna, how can they get a copy of
Okay,
your book?
there's a couple of places to get the. So the book originally you can only get it from my website, which is Donna initial jweiser.com. And when you buy the book on my website, I give a portion of the book to Scleroderma Foundation, which is a charity that I'm quite involved with. And my cousin has scleroderma, so it's important to me to raise money for that disease.
Hmm.
But what happened was because I have team members who are in Australia, in Canada, and the United Kingdom, they couldn't get it from my website. It was way too much money to send to them. So now we're on Amazon as well. So you can find
Great.
my book on Amazon as well. It's also on Audible. I had someone do the recording, and then we did a Q&A after each chapter. So that was kind of fun.
Fantastic. Donna, thank you so much for being willing to share with us today. I so appreciate it. And again, you can go to Amazon to get Donna's book. So you said yes, The Wiser Way to Network Marketing, and Wiser is spelled Weiser. Okay?
Correct. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Gloria.
Thank you.
This is fun. I appreciate you.
Thank you.